discussing episode 2 of the Aaron Hernandez documentary on Netflix.
Yes.
Okay, so they start off episode 2, and then one thing that I wrote was that Aaron was he's unsettling because he showed exactly what he wanted people to see of him, but there was a whole other side of him that was extremely just violent and just very off the handle with things. So they open up as, he's committed to Florida and doing all this stuff, and they jump forward in time to his trial, and they talk about Tanya, his cousin, who was essentially a mother figure for him.
Yeah. He loved her.
Yes. She is eventually held in contempt of court because she refused to testify against him. So, and by the way, she also has breast cancer, so she goes to jail for not testifying against him. And that inhibits her treatment. So, that was something.
That was too loyal.
Too loyal to a fault.
To me, their relationship was a little sick. Because had she not filled in the gaps for him and been there for him, like, it seemed like all of his relationships were based on what can you do for me, and how loyal are you to me, and can you keep a secret. He didn't have healthy relationships.
Or he didn't have anyone really keeping him accountable.
No, he didn't. And like Tanya almost seemed like when they talked on the phone when he was in jail, she almost seemed like a fan.
Yeah. She was like, I love, like, of course, like, I love you, stupid. Like,
I'm never gonna stop loving you. It was just weird. It was just weird.
Very weird. So they jump. Now he's committed to the University of Florida, and it comes to light that the University of Florida, for really any collegiate football team, each of their players are heavily vetted. So they know what you do and what you don't do before you get there.
Right.
So Florida knew that Aaron was
a head case.
Yes, he was a bit of a problem.
A head case
when it came to his extracurricular activities outside of football, but they took him anyways.
Yeah, because listen, you talking about the NFL, the what's the college league? NCAA, is it NCAA? Whatever.
We'll
anyway,
get into that later.
College football is a multi-million-dollar industry.
Yeah.
So just because it might be multi-billion, I don't know, but anyway, just because somebody is a head case doesn't mean that they don't have the talent that you're really willing to overlook the things that they do off the field.
And that definitely, they play into that a lot. So around the time, when Aaron is at Florida, this is when Tim Tebow is there, and Tim Tebow is arguably one of Florida's most famous.
Who did he end up playing for?
He ended up playing for the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
I think he may have played for the Patriots.
But he did really he liked Aaron when they were in college.
He liked Aaron, but Tim Tebow, if you don't know him, he is very much so very religious. Like they said that he has John 3:16 on, they call it the eye blacks. He constantly prays before and after games.
Yeah, he's painted out to be a martyr.
Very much so.
I don't trust that though.
And the thing is,
I never do.
So I'm in college now, and I go to the University of Georgia, and when I see Tim Tebow, I think of Jake Fromm, who is our quarterback, and he's very much, the image of this, good old boy.
You know what? You hit the nail on the head.
Religious.
Image.
Yeah.
It's just about image, because, and the reason why I say that about Tim Tebow is because one night, him and Aaron went out to the club.
Yeah.
You remember, wasn't it Tim that he went with? It wasn't Tim?
It was to a strip club. I don't think that was
It wasn't
Tim.
Strip club. The club that Aaron punched the bartender when it was time to pay.
Oh yeah. I think
it was
yeah. But the thing is, we'll get to it later on, because I have a thing about SEC schools specifically. But then they go back to talking about Odin Lloyd and his friend who played with him on the team. He said something very poignant, and I think describes it. he was saying a football player who wanted to be a fake gangster killed my boy. Mm-hmm. So he was insinuating that Aaron was not this like hood dude. Like he was from Bristol, Connecticut. He's not like this, this hard guy. Mm-mm. Odin was from like a neighborhood that was like, it was like a rough, part of Boston. Like, drugs and, gang violence and everything. That was regular there. But because he played semi-pro football, he was respected by the people on the streets and everything. They were protected by those people. And it was the fact that Aaron, who was not from that life, who wanted so badly to be this, hard dude, was the one that ended up killing Odin, who was protected by all these people who were actually, running the streets and everything.
I mean, I think it even goes deeper than that. I just think when Aaron's dad died, Aaron didn't give a fuck. Like, that's just what it was. Like, even if he was considered like a fake gangster, I think he was just living out his anger every day. Yeah. And he didn't care who got in. If you got in his way, you had to get out of his way. Yeah. And I think Aaron also was used to getting away with stuff. Yeah. Some of your hardest criminals start off like that. People overlook things. Yeah. They overlooked a lot because of his talent.
They definitely did. They gave him a lot of passes, and it didn't get any better once he got into the NFL. But at this point, they then bounced back to talking about the crime scene and everything. And as they just
the crime scene for Odin's
murder, and Aaron could have just signed his name on the crime scene. That's how much evidence they had against him.
Yeah, they had cameras showing him picking Odin up. I said Loden. Picking Odin up from his house. Mm-hmm. Him and what were the two guys, Bo and I think Charlie Boy? They came to they came to pick him up, pick up Odin from the house. Now, when Odin got in the car, tell me if I'm going too fast. But when Odin got in the car, he texted his sister and said, "Hey, you know who I'm with?" NFL. And then he put NFL, just so you know.
Yeah, because he
figured something was about to go down because he knew Aaron was upset with him about something.
Yeah, I don't even remember if they go into what it was.
That was the one thing that was puzzling to me in all three documentaries. We never really got to find out why Aaron got mad with Odin to the point where he wanted to kill him.
And they kind of touch on it in the last episode, but
a little bit. But that's shaky. No, that's because of the source. Yeah, but we'll get to that later.
The source was shaky, but they have all of this evidence, and they show. I think in the third,
they show him at the gas station dancing. They show Aaron at the gas station smoking and dancing before they even go pick up Odin.
And with I think I want to say like. That might have been the next trial.
And then wasn't Odin's body like right down like a mile or so away from Aaron's house?
They weren't, and
he didn't think it through.
They say in the first episode that the people that he was with, Bo and Charlie Boy, one of them had gotten like a misdemeanor charge about something. Like it was a very low level crime. So he's not dealing with criminal masterminds here. Like he just. Like, this shows that this wasn't really thought through.
It wasn't. See, Aaron probably was like, okay, they street. Street means you know what you're doing. No, you got some dumb criminals. And he was messing with some dumb criminals.
And
like,
they left evidence.
He was a dumb criminal. Yeah. They left evidence everywhere.
Footprints,
but then,
bullet casings.
It also supports the fact that, again, Aaron thought that he was above the law. Yeah. He thought he could get away with anything.
And it didn't help that at every point in his life, he really kind of was above the law.
He was. So why would he stop thinking that?
So they bounce back to the SEC, him being at Florida. When Aaron is there, Florida wins national championship. Yeah. And if you watch college football or if you follow it, you know that the college football championships, that's a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
And it can definitely set the course for a football program in the next year after to ascend to, these national ranks and have all these NFL draft recruits and all this other stuff, but mainly brings in a ton of money. So because Florida knew what Aaron was doing and they overlooked a lot of it, it made, as I was watching it, it made Florida look terrible because
Florida, I'm gonna tell you, Florida wasn't the only one that looked bad. Florida looked, they looked bad, and the Patriots, but we'll get to the Patriots later. But Florida
looked awful because they were trying.
They overlooked
a lot, and they were trying to say. Urban Meyer, who's the coach there, was trying to say that, you know, Aaron was over at his house
playing with the kids,
playing with the kids, and they would have these Bible studies and everything.
But ultimately,
they knew what he was
doing.
The
coach, the whole school, they were using that boy for his talents.
They knew exactly what he was doing, and there was something that happened in Gainesville, which is where the University of Florida is. Aaron got involved. It was like some shooting something, and the school made it disappear. It's as if it didn't happen. And the night he went out with Tim Tebow, I know it was Tim Tebow. Yeah.
They ain't say what Tim was doing at the club, but they went to a bar or something, and Aaron had 2 drinks. Yeah. And then once it was time to pay, you know, the bartender like, okay, you know, you got a little tab right here.
Yeah.
He sucker punches him.
I think that might be the incident
and
that
then
they made just disappear.
They made it and the bartender didn't press charges or nothing. Mm-hmm. So Aaron was just like, okay, hey, I don't have to pay. I can do whatever I want to do. Mm-hmm. You know, but it hurt him in the end. Yeah. It hurt him, but it didn't hurt him because he still got drafted. But it hurt where he got what number he got drafted at.
Yeah. So before we get into him going to the Patriots, I just have a mini rant about SEC schools specifically. So within college football, there's different divisions, or I guess sectors or whatever, and they do it regionally. So the SEC is one of the premier parts of college football. It's where most of the southern schools are, and southern in the South. Football is everything, basically.
Yeah, it's nothing else.
It's nothing else but football. And having gone to an SEC school, Georgia is an SEC school, I've gotten to see just how much college football players exist on a different plane than a regular student. And that
they got better dorms than y'all. They eat better. They eat like steak and shrimp every night.
I mean, beyond just like, you know, little tiny stuff. Like, well, not tiny stuff, because I'd love to eat steak and shrimp.
Yeah, you sitting up there eating your ramen in your dorm room.
I'm over here sneaking out chicken fingers from the dorm room, and they just...
Well, listen, we paid for it through the tuition, so...
But football players at these schools, they, you know, when it comes to academics, it's definitely understood that football players are there to play football. They're not there to be students. There may be some who are... you know, more academically inclined than others, but at Georgia, it's no secret that there's a ton of people on the team, allegedly, because y'all ain't about to get me in trouble. Allegedly, that have people who do work for them. Professors kind of look the other way with certain things when it comes to assignments. They're there to play football, and they're there to make money for the school. So,
right.
And also with the whole, you know, what happened at the bar and how Florida made that go away, that's very common.
There was some other incidents that they just made disappear.
Yeah, and even in Georgia, there was allegedly a football player who had some relations with a young girl, and she ended up getting injured, and that basically they were having sex, and she got her hip broken, and apparently that was swept under the rug. Yeah. Football players, you know, get caught with drugs, and you know, it's a lot of stuff. So and that the thing is, the SEC and the Pac-10 and, you know, Big 12, whatever, they overlook all of that.
They make things disappear.
They want these players to basically, whatever you have to do to play well for this school,
yeah, you're gonna do it.
You're gonna do it.
And I would like to insert this here. One of the things that the quarterback's dad, the quarterback from high school, what his dad said was, Aaron was taught, no matter how hard you get hit, no matter how badly you get injured, you play hurt. Yeah. You play hurt. And that's all he had in his mind from the time he was a little kid playing sports, is that you play through the pain. Yeah. You continue, and Aaron was out there getting brutalized.
It happened a lot and when he was playing for Florida, but it only got worse when he played for the Patriots because it's a bigger stage. It's a bigger scale.
It is.
So they talk about it in the first episode when the quarterback's dad says that you play hurt, but then they really kind of go into it in the second and third episode talking about CTE and the presence of brain injury with football players. So that they touch on that, but I'll get to that in a little bit. So then they come forward a little bit in time, and they go into the fact that Aaron is now being drafted into the NFL. But before that, he says, or someone says, that when Florida got their national championship, Urban Meyer, the coach of Florida, said, Aaron, you're not coming back for your senior year. You're going into the NFL at age 20. Yeah. So that, he's a 20-year-old kid.
What does he know?
He didn't know anything going into college. He was 17 coming to Florida. Now he's 20.
Now he's about to be a super adult overnight.
Going into the NFL. And so he's thinking that he's going to be drafted first round, and he's not drafted into the fourth round with the 15th pick, I think. Yeah,
but that was red flags for everybody. Like, why would a dude with so much talent go so late? So it's a character thing.
When but before he gets to the Patriots and everything, and they're talking about the draft, they do like the physical testing with how fast he can run or his jump or what, I don't know.
Yeah, they do all that stuff.
But then they also do like a mental cognitive test, where they just to see what type of person that he is. And on one of the testings, it showed that he had the lowest score possible when it came to social maturity. So that just
I missed that part.
Yeah. So like I think it was a scale of 1 to 5, and he got a 1.
Oh my gosh!
So his social maturity was
terrible.
It was terrible.
Oh Lord!
But it was. I think it might have been other factors like charisma or anything.
It don't matter, honey. A 1 is a 1.
A 1, but it was just the other factors that were there that he was pretty high in. But social maturity, he had none.
Oh, that's a red flag.
So when he got to the draft, the Patriots wanted him, but they, again, like Florida, knew that he was a problem. Yeah. They knew exactly what he had been doing, I'm sure.
But did you heard what's the coach from Florida again? What's his name?
Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer was good friends with Belichick and Kraft. Yeah. And he actually, they said that he was the one that talked up Aaron. But he went forth because Urban was very honest with his two friends, Belichick and Kraft. Yeah. He let them know that Aaron was missing a couple of screws.
Yeah, he was very transparent.
So he pushes him out to go into the draft, but at the same time, he bad talking him. Well, not bad talking. He telling the truth, but I'm just saying, like, you pushing this man out into the draft, but you also telling all his little dirty secrets over here.
Yeah. And so then they go into like running at the same time as him getting into the Patriots is when he meets, kind of close to that time, he meets Odin Lloyd, and they go into how kind of their relationship was. Yeah. The one thing I wrote down is that Odin rolled blunts for Aaron.
Yeah, that
rubbed me the wrong way.
Odin wasn't allowed to say if that was actually true, but they both were marijuana connoisseurs, and the way that they came together was just the fact that Odin dated Aaron's fiance's sister. Yeah, that's how they came together. So when you in the family, and you around, he's around, you gonna hang out together. Yeah, and so they just kind of hit it off. Yeah, and had a fast friendship.
Basically. So now Aaron is in. He's on the New England Patriots. If you don't watch football, you still know that the Patriots dominate when it comes. They have all these Super Bowl championships and everything. So they run a tight ship when it comes to how they run their program. And Aaron not really being the best at following directions or staying on the straight and narrow, runs into some issues when he's there, and mainly everyone who was on his team and who was there and around him, they said that he didn't really want to make relationships with the people that
he didn't. I mean, he didn't have nothing in common with them.
Yeah.
And let me just pause for the cause and say, his house was bad. He had a bad house. Yeah, that house was gorgeous.
Yeah, the house was beautiful.
It was. Yeah. I got off track, but I just thought about that house. But yeah, he didn't have anything in common with anybody on the team. And, beyond it being, we play football together, what else was there?
He didn't want to make the effort to have a life with the Patriots. He wanted...
Yeah, because you have to be a certain way. You can't just be who you naturally are.
And he mentioned that to someone on the phone, saying that, the Patriots, they didn't let him have any fun and da-da-da-da. And one of the coaches mentioned that he really wanted to keep Aaron from going home all the time, because if he would have gotten drafted to, somewhere across the country, or everything's not as easy. I think his childhood friend, mentioned that, it's not as easy to, go back to your old habits.
Yeah, he was too close to home.
2 hours away from being home.
He was too close to home. I would, if we could go back in time and he got drafted to the San Diego Chargers, or who, somebody on the West Coast, you just would love to believe that things could have been different.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't have been around all of the stuff that he grew up with.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to be a little bit uncomfortable to grow.
Yeah.
And he never had a chance to grow because he was right back in that element.
Mm-hmm.
So
he was 2 hours away from his home. And basically he never quite got out of being, this trying to assimilate into this life that he never really had, of being this hard gangster guy. He was never gave himself the opportunity to do something different.
Yeah. So
as he's on the Patriots, he's not making friends necessarily, but he's still, a very jovial guy. Yeah. And they follow him throughout the season, and the Patriots make it to the playoffs, make it to the Super Bowl and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And they showed a clip before the Super Bowl of they had an Aaron Hernandez day at his mom's school that she taught at. Yeah. And happening at the same time as that is that Aaron is going off on his mom and everything, saying you were never there for me. So, you weren't really a mom. You over
the
here
mama was out of
stuff.
touch. The mama was out of touch. But then, at the end of the day, the mama done got banged up against her head a couple of times from the daddy before he died. So, the mama just was not a mama anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean? She just was basically the person who had Aaron. And he was on the phone. He let her have it. He was going off on her, and she didn't want to accept responsibility. I think if she would have said, you know what, baby, I know I wasn't there for you the way that you wanted me to be growing up, but I apologize. Yep. I think if she would have said that could have changed something within him. Even though he was already in jail, I'm just saying, that could have done something for his spirit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Take ownership.
I think that's all he wanted, was his mom to kind of be accountable for her actions. Yeah. And
she's sitting up there at the event crying.
Yeah. And the thing is, at some point when they're talking about the trial, he's asking, are you going to be there and everything? And she's like, well, I'll come to the first one just to show them that I support you.
To show you, basically to show your fans and the public
that I support you.
But I won't be there during the middle and then I'll come at the end.
Yeah, she said I'll come at the end.
I said, ain't this a trip? She said, I'm going to support you in the beginning just so they can see my face. I got shit to do during the middle part, and I'll catch up with you when they give you the verdict. I said, this a mess.
So, that by this point in his career, or what he's done so far, I wrote that he felt invincible because he was almost rewarded at every turn for everything that he did. Not directly, he wasn't directly rewarded, but he, at this point, is now involved in all these different altercations and different shootings and stuff. And now he's made it to Super Bowl status, getting this huge payout. And he's being rewarded for his bad behavior, so of course he feels emboldened to keep doing stuff.
Now, is this where they mention the double homicide?
They mentioned the double homicide, but also his friend who had the glasses,
who he shot in the face.
He shot in the face, and this was the first comeuppance, I guess, that he gets, because this is now the first person.
Okay, what is comeuppance for those of us that may not know?
I feel like people know, but you don't know.
Okay, anyway, what is
comeuppance? Is basically he's getting it's justice almost, kind of.
Okay.
So the person that he shot in the face, because he basically didn't tell the police that it was Aaron who shot him.
Okay, well, first of all, let's tell about the person that he shot. Who was he?
He was a friend at the time to Aaron. I don't quite.
He was a street dude.
Yeah,
he was a street dude in the drugs.
In the streets, guns and all that stuff.
And Aaron was already a patriot at this point when he befriended this dude.
So he knew exactly what he was getting.
He knew what he was getting into. You already got money, and you hanging with street dudes.
Yeah, and so they were at a club or something like that, and someone. He just got upset, with something. And the friend was trying to say, relax. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah. And
they're in the car talking, and all of a sudden, the friend just has a gun in his face, and Aaron shoots him in the face, and he, goes to the hospital, and during the trial...
But wasn't that friend that he shot, wasn't he with him the night that Aaron shot the two guys from the club?
I think so.
Yeah, because he was the friend that was telling him, okay, these dudes, we at the club, we chill. I think it was at Rumors Lounge or something like that. We up here chilling, everybody having fun, drinks up. Somebody, one of the dudes accidentally spills the drink.
Yeah.
Aaron thinks that this is the end of the world.
He loses it.
He want to go off. The friend is saying, listen, man, it happens. Let's get over it. Let's leave.
Mm-hmm.
They leaving. Aaron happened to turn to the side. He see the dudes leaving.
Yeah.
The dude, his friend kept saying, man, just let it go, let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron wouldn't let it go.
Yeah.
So then it's just the friend felt compelled to say, okay, follow the BMW.
Yeah.
They come up on the BMW. Aaron is like, yo. He yelling out the window, yo. They ain't look or nothing, because they don't even know. They probably don't even know they spilled the drink on them.
Yeah, because if you're in a dark club, you dancing
and everybody feeling good. But he says, yo, and then next thing you know, he's shooting into the car.
And they're both dead.
That's the double homicide.
And I think, was it that same night that when the friend was really trying to tell him, you gotta relax?
That's what I was trying to think. Was it the same? Did he shoot the friend in the face the same night that he killed them boys?
I want to say that he did, because I think the friend was there for the trial of the two.
He was.
The two guys.
He was.
So, but the long story short is that when the friend was in the hospital and the police asked him, do you remember who did this?
Who shot you in the face?
Who shot you?
Because Aaron shot him in the face.
He knew exactly who it was, but he wanted to. He lied almost and said, oh, I don't remember, because he wanted to exact his own revenge.
Exactly.
He said, I'm going to kill you.
Exactly. Yeah, and then that's street culture. You don't snitch.
Yeah.
That's one of the, if you on the streets, if you from the hood, that's a known rule.
You don't snitch.
That goes without saying. You don't snitch. But he wanted to handle Aaron himself. And the thing about it is, Aaron shot this dude because the dude was saying, man, you really overreact sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So Aaron, he drift off. I guess he drifting off to sleep. Aaron waking him up with a gun in his face and shoots him in the eye.
Yeah, and he's thinking I'm trying to be
your advocate, dude. you got a lot to lose. I ain't got shit to lose, and I'm trying to help you.
Yeah, so
So
that's the end of episode 2, and meet us in the next video. Where we talk about episode 3.
Be there.